I can tell you, Democrats cannot accept this reality that Donald Trump won the election. 9 Democrats, 1 Republican elector led by the daughter of Nancy Pelosi. They're requesting a briefing on reports about Russia hacking and interfering in our election process before they cast their electoral votes on Monday. And you get Democrats clinging to this hope that somehow they'll reverse their vote. Now the Clinton campaign is actually backing this effort. You get the chairman of the whole campaign, John Podesta, out there writing, the bipartisan letter raises very grave issues involving our national security. Electors have a solemn responsibility under the Constitution, and we support their efforts to have their questions addressed. Joining me right now from the Washington Examiner is Hugo Gordon. Good to see you, Hugo.
Nice to be here.
It certainly seems like an effort right now to undermine Trump's victory. It seems as though the left is doing everything it possibly can to delegitimize it.
Exactly. I mean, there seems to me no question that they don't really expect that this is going to work and that somehow they're going to be able to stage a coup inside the Electoral College and that the electors are going to come out and vote to make Hillary Clinton the president. But the calculation is very easy. There's a really, really long shot that it'll work. And at the very worst, they can help delegitimize Donald Trump, make people think maybe there was something fishy going on.
I think they've actually been quite successful thus far in that. I mean, I've talked to members of the left, some very reasonable, pretty educated members of the left that somehow think that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin conspired together to shift this election in his favor and did so by manipulating actual votes, which I've said over and over again. My goodness, I mean, if the Russians are actually manipulating the votes, we got a real problem on our hands.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, the one place that they've actually done a recount in Wisconsin, Trump got more votes as a result of the recount. And, no, I mean, I think that the people are suggesting that, but I don't know that there's any truth in it. And it's very interesting that although the story about the CIA thinking that Russia was deliberately trying to help elect Trump, it's very interesting that the FBI does not endorse that decision. So we don't know what the evidence is. We know that Russian hacking has been known about for months. There are congressional investigations, and suddenly, a week before the Electoral College is going to cast its votes, it's suddenly become a bigger deal.
You know, Hugo, the reality is, even if Vladimir Putin and Russia, if they were trying to influence this election, at the end of the day, they weren't the ones telling her not to go to states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio to campaign. That was her own decision. In fact, her own husband, Bill Clinton, said, you better get out there. These voters matter. Hugo, she thought they didn't. It was millennials, it was women, it was minorities, and she was going to win on that grand notion, not on those blue-collar workers who typically had been her supporters in the Democratic Party.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, I think that in some ways this is going to be more damaging to the Democrats than it can possibly be to Donald Trump, who is going to go on and be president. Because what it'll do is persuade enough people amongst the Democrats that actually they really did win and that their strategy was fine, but it was all undermined by the Kremlin and bad cybersecurity. And they won't make the necessary changes to appeal to Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. You know, they'll continue to ignore and take those voters for granted. What they need to do, if they really want to win, is address that, is turn their attention to those people and win them back.
Yeah, well, you're giving them some good advice. They really clearly haven't been so willing to take it, but, you know.
Well, I apologize for that.
They got 4 years. All right, Hugo, good to see you. Thank you.